Hello, movie nerds, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we are going to talk Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Now, this one is the latest Godzilla film, Kong film, in the Monsterverse sort of franchise that's been going on for a while. I believe the last film that we would have seen previous to this one would be Godzilla v Kong in 2021. That one had Millie Bobby Brown. She does not come back in this movie, which is seen as a good thing or a bad thing depending on how much you like her. But we do have a lot of people that were in that previous film that do come back for this one. So Dr. Andrews is back in this one. Bernie Hayes is back in this one. Jaya is back in this one. Now, I have to say, just right out of the gate, Godzilla -1 has ruined me, y'all. After watching that movie, the storyline and just the impact, like the emotional impact and how well that was done, I feel like has ruined the Monsterverse for me. Because sitting down to watch this film feels a lot like a step backwards, even though I know that the two franchises are in no way connected to each other. Like, they're not done by the same people. One is Hollywood, one is clearly not. But I feel like the last sort of Godzilla-esque movie from the Monsterverse that I really enjoyed was Skull Island. And that one I genuinely thought was a lot of fun. I thought it was kind of silly. It was a little bit ridiculous, but I liked it. I haven't necessarily really loved all of them going forward. I think Godzilla v Kong was fine in terms of what it is, and I didn't necessarily think that much about it. And now going into Godzilla X Kong, after having seen -1, I feel like my brain just views these differently because the storyline is just not as good. Like, the stories that they write for these movies, I feel like it's pretty obvious that it's not meant to be about the plot, if that makes sense. Like, yes, there always is a plot or some sort of fiasco that's happening in these films, but really these Godzilla movies, or like the Monsterverse movies, are a lot more about the action sequences, the fights between the, monsters, if you will, and not so much having much, if anything, to do with the human characters that are involved with that. And I feel like Godzilla X Kong maybe took it up a little bit in terms of Kong, for me, in this one, completely stole the show. Like, I really liked his character, even though he's completely CG and doesn't exist. I liked his character most because I think that they like humanized him in such a way that you could kind of see his personality and his like longing to connect and that sort of thing, and just his sort of portrayal, or the portrayal that they gave him through the movie, I felt like was the strongest one out of all of it. So honestly, like, having Godzilla in the movie, it's like a bonus. I was like, oh yay, Godzilla. But like, you don't necessarily, or at least I don't necessarily, look at him and think of him on the same level as Kong in this particular film. And I feel like a lot of the film maybe could have been taken down a bit. I mean, this one is just shy of an hour and 55 minutes, but I think that like the first 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer than that, I wasn't quite sure what the point of it was. This is going to be spoiler, so skip ahead a couple of minutes or skip this review and come back after you've watched Godzilla Kong if you want to see this. But I think like the first 20 minutes really just focuses around Kong sort of on the island searching for others like him. Like, obviously he doesn't want to be not on the island. He's in the earth. I keep forgetting that he's not on the earth. He's like in the earth. I don't think that's a spoiler. Anyway, he's in the earth and it's like an island. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. So he's like roaming around on this other Earth, this second Earth that's like inside Earth. And there are all these other creatures. And basically he has to defend himself from everyone, but he's searching for his own kind. Like he wants something that is similar to him to like be with instead of all of these other creatures. And he's completely alone. But like for the first 20 minutes, like you see that. And then you see that he has a dentist appointment. Like they extract one of his teeth. I don't know if that's a spoiler. And he gets like a fake tooth, like a implant, I guess, a dental implant for Kong, you know, which I feel like is fine. Like obviously, you know, he's been in a ton of fights. I'm sure that they are giving that as a nod to like all of these things. You know, he constantly gets punched in the face. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of downside to that. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that I need to spend, you know, $20 to go see a movie so that I can watch Kong have like a tooth extraction. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that part of the film, although sort of humorous in a way, was not necessary, at least not for me. Like that, I don't get a kick out of those aspects of Godzilla or King Kong movies. Like, really, I feel like for the most part, you're there specifically for what I feel like they know is the draw point, right? You're there for the action. You're there for the fight sequences. And in Godzilla X Kong, I think that you have that. It is still a fun watch. There's a lot of mayhem and destruction and, you know, all of that kind of thing. There's a lot of fights between Kong and like multiples of other characters and creatures and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, the plot and the story wasn't necessarily strong in this one, I don't feel like, and it wasn't necessarily strong for me anyway in Godzilla v Kong either. So it's just more of the same. And at that point, I guess I just don't understand where they are going with it, other than these movies are, you know, kind of like the Fast and the Furious franchise, where you are going specifically just to see how many things they blow up and, you know, that sort of thing. But now, like I had mentioned, like now that I've seen Godzilla -1, and I know that you can have that sort of mayhem and destruction and those sort of scary, you know, moments, but you can also have a good plot running alongside that. I want that. Like, I want that now, and I can't unsee it, if that makes sense. Like, I can't unsee -1 and go back to that time where the Godzilla and King Kong movies were good, you know? So, I don't know. For this one in particular, I don't necessarily think it was terrible. Like, I think it is exactly what you would expect from a movie like this, and nothing more than that. Like, if you are expecting it to kind of have done better than the previous one, I think you will be disappointed. But if you are expecting sort of the same of what we have had in previous films, you will get that. So if that's all you're going in for, I think you won't be disappointed. But if you are hoping for something along the side of like Godzilla -1, which now I just always will, I think that you will be a little bit disappointed by this one. So I don't know. You guys are going to have to let me know what you thought of Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.